for Dr. David Stein. Do you remember? We just found out from Miriam, who's here with us on the call, that he fell and he broke his hip. He's in the hospital, so the shear will be the refuah shalema. Right away, we're going to have a shear, which will be for a speedy recovery and a full health, and it'll be all the good things for him and for all of Am Yisrael. And today is Erev Lag BaOmer. Tonight is Lag BaOmer, and this is a mystical time, a time of mysticism, a time of trying to understand what is this all about, and what does Lag BaOmer really mean, and what does it represent for us. And although I do have a minute to go up with my father every single year, and we get a chance to celebrate together with, I'm not sure how many people show up. They say like 250,000 people show up, or maybe 500,000 people show up over the course of 24 hours. So it's definitely something that plays a very important role. It plays an important role in halacha as well.
What do you say?
Just want to make sure. Okay, should be okay now. So it's a very important day, and I want to try to unlock a little bit or one aspect of the day to try to understand what is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, what is he to us, and how could we learn from it. Now there's so much to it, and I am far from understanding it, but just one aspect that really caught my attention, something that I want to share with you, something that I spoke over with my father over this past Shabbat. I was able to go to visit my parents, to sit outside and to see one another, which was very nice for all of us. And that is, if you look at the story that the Gemara brings about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, it's a very famous Gemara in Shabbos Daf Lamed Gimel, right? Lag BaOmer, Shabbos Lamed Gimel, is the story of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The story pretty much goes that Rav Yehuda, Rav Yossi, and Rav Shimon were standing and discussing, and there was also Yehuda ben Gerim was there. He was already someone who was a Hellenist. He was in the Roman culture, and Rav Yehuda says, wow, look at the Roman Empire. Look how beautiful they've done. They've built they've upgraded society here so much, and we could do so much. You can only imagine somebody who comes to, he's praising the golden Medina of Rome, but it's in Eretz Yisrael. So there is, that goes, and we're talking about 50 plus years after Churban Abayis in Eretz Yisrael. And Rav Yossi is quiet. And then Rabbi Yehuda gets upset. He says, what are you talking about, that they've upgraded society over here? Everything that they've built just for their own pleasure. They've built the stadium so that they could enjoy, and they've built that they could bring in prostitutes into them, and the bathhouses for their own care and for their own whatever it is that they're looking for. And they've built bridges all for themselves. Now, Yehuda ben Gerim heard this, and he went to tell the Roman authorities, and the Roman authorities said, oh, Yehuda, who likes us, we're going to praise him, and Rav Yossi needs to go to exile all the way up north to Tzipori, and Rav Shimon, we're going to execute him. It was the time of executing the tzaddikim. Rabbi Akiva was executed by the Romans. It was the time period of really a span of close to 100 years in which the Romans executed the top Jewish leaders and Talmidei Chachamim in what's known as the Asara Arugei Malchus. It was all during that time period that started with Reb Shimon Kohen Gadol, Rabbi Shmuel Kohen Gadol, Rav Chutzpis, everything that we have over there in the Asara Arugei Malchus. And the Gemara goes, and what's very interesting, the Gemara says that they went into the cave. They were running away. First they ran away here, and then they ran away into the caves, and they had the carob tree and the water. How many years were they in the cave? They were in the cave for 12 years. And then they came out of the cave, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and Rabbi Lazar Beno, and they see that the world is upside down. The world is people are working. 12 years have passed. They've been sitting in solitude for 12 years, eating out of nothing. We know that the mun started falling down on Lag BaOmer. The mun in the desert, if you calculate the days of when was Kriyas Yamsuf and when was this, the Chasam Sofer brings down that the man, the spiritual food, started coming down on Lag BaOmer. And that's why Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, Lag BaOmer, is he spent 12 years eating the man, kivyachol. It was a miraculous spring, and it was Eitz Charuvim that fed him, and he was living off of nothing in a miraculous type of way for 12 years. He comes out and he sees people are working. We got lawyers, we got doctors, we got merchants. No one has time to learn. Okay, maybe they go to Daf Yomi, maybe they learn a little bit, they have a shir, and they start wherever they look. They had I don't know if it was Ayin Hara, but it was a power. We believe in the power of the eyes to destroy. They were destroying whatever they were looking at because they were looking at it with a negative eye. And a Baskol comes out and says, "Are you here to destroy my world? You have to go back into the cave." Now, how long did they go back to the cave for? So we think they went back to the cave for what? For 1 year. But the truth is, that's not what the Gemara says. It says that they went back to the cave for 12 months. So the number 12 appears there again. They went for 12 years, and then they went back for 12 months. And that's really what started to cool them down. What cooled them down? Reb Shimon Bar Yochai already understood that life is a balance, and people need to be working, and not everyone can be Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Reb Elazar ben Noah was still upset until they saw this grandfather, Ahu Saba, who was running on Erev Shabbos, and he was, I guess, a businessman, someone who's running late for Shabbos. You know, he's coming into shul with his hair still wet from just took a shower. He came back from the office, but he's running with 2 hadassim, and they ask him, "So why are you running on Erev Shabbos with 2 hadassim? Why isn't one enough?" He said, "No, I have one for Zachar and one for Shamor." Meaning he took a special ahava, a special love for Shabbos that was coming in, especially him being such a busy businessman or whoever it was, that they realized that even though people are working, even though people are involved in Chai Olam Hazeh, they really have a spiritual connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with the mitzvos, and that's when Rabbi Elazar calmed down as well. So we find that it went in for 12 years, and then they came back for 12 months, but the Gemara doesn't end there. And that's really what struck my attention. The Gemara continues over there on Shabbos Lamed Gimel. It says that after they came back, and he said he has one for Shamar, one for Zachar, and they saw that the mitzvos are so exciting. So Rav Pinchas ben Yair was Chatane, was either the son-in-law or the mechutin of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. And the Gemara says that he took him to the mikvah on Erev Shabbos. And when he helped him get into the mikvah, he took off his shirt, he saw that his skin was fully cracked and a lot of dry skin. And because he was so many years in this me'ara, and he covered himself with sand, his skin was mamish in pain. And Rav Pinchas ben Yair started crying, and the tears, of the salty tears, that one of them fell on Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. He got a scream, and it hurt him. And so he told him, "Well, you know, I'm crying because look at you." So he said, "Well, because of the way I look, that's why I'm able to reach the level that I've reached." Meaning I was totally Moser Nefesh. I've dedicated my life for the Torah study and for connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why I'm able to reach the level that I reach. And what was the example that he gave it? He said, before I went into the Me'ara, he said, I used to ask a question, and Rav Pinchas ben Yair would give me 12 answers. Makshi Rav Shimon Bar Yochai kushya, havi mafrek le Rav Pinchas ben Yair, tresar piruke. 12 different answers. And at the end, now that I've been in the cave for 12 years, Rav Pinchas ben Yair will ask a question, and Rav Shimon Bar Yochai will give him 24 answers. So again, we have the number of 12 and 24. 12 questions and 12 answers that Rav Shimon Bar Yochai used to be able to give, and now he's able to give 24 answers. Now, what does that remind us of when we're focusing on Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, the number 12 and the number 24? Obviously, it reminds us of the Gemara in Yevamos. The Gemara in Yevamos tells us that during this time period, the reason why during the days of the Sefira we act in mourning is because Rabbi Akiva says that anyone who taught Torah when he's young, he should also teach Torah when he's old. Because you might be able to teach Torah and have a lot of Talmidim when you're young, but Rabbi Akiva, from his experience, all of those Talmidim perished, and he only taught Torah to the 5 remaining Talmidim, and from them the whole entire Torah came through. So, and the Gemara says, Amru, Shnei Masar Elef Zugim Talmidim Hayulo Rabbi Akiva. How many Talmidim did Rabbi Akiva have? he had 12,000 pairs of Talmidim, which is 12,000, but it's also 24. That's really what the Gemara in Nedarim says. We'll get to that in 1 second. And they were all nifter. And so Rabbi Akiva also has this 12,000 Talmidim, but it's 12,000 pairs of Talmidim. They each had a Chavrusa. And that's what, if you look at the Gemara in Nedarim on Daf Nun, the Gemara also, the famous story of Rabbi Akiva. What's the famous story of Rabbi Akiva? How did he become Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva did not know a word of Torah until he was 40. Didn't learn anything, didn't even know how to read. He was illiterate. He was a shepherd. And then Rachel, the daughter of Kalba Savua, puts her eye on him. And we know that the power of every successful man is because he has a woman that encouraged him, and a woman that believed in him, and a woman that said that you could do it. And it's always been like that, especially in Jewish tradition. It's the koach of the women. That's what gave the koach to Am Yisrael. Rachel, this tzaddikus who came from a wealthy home, she said, I want to marry Akiva. Her father says, I'm going to put you in cherem. I won't give you any of my money. She said, I still want to marry Akiva because she believed in him. And he didn't give her any of the money. She got married to this Akiva, and she saw his good midos, says the Gemara. She saw the potential in him, and she said, okay, why don't you go learn a little bit? And he went to learn. So in the beginning, he was learning, and he was coming home, and he was learning Aleph Beis. He was coming home. They built a family. They had children. At a certain point, though, he went to learn in the yeshiva of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua, who were his rebbeim. He went to learn in the yeshiva. For how many years did he go to learn in the yeshiva? He went to learn in the yeshiva for 12 years. He didn't come home. Again, Rabbi Akiva is chad bedora. I'm not encouraging that to any students nowadays. But he went for 12 years. It wasn't just going Shana Aleph to Eretz Yisrael and coming back winter break. You go visit on winter break, and then you come back Pesach, and then you come back in the summer. It wasn't like that. It was for 12 years he went to learn by Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Eliezer. And he was coming back with maybe some Talmidim, some colleagues, and he overhears his wife. There was some lady who was saying, look at your husband, 12 years, he hasn't been there. What type of husband is that? What type of this? She says, no, I believe in my husband. He's going to be big. He's already big. And if he wants to go for another 12 years, I'm going to let him go for another 12 years. And the Gemara says that Rabbi Akiva does a U-turn, and he turns around, and he goes back for another 12 years, and it's 24 years. All the Bali Musars say, well, how come he didn't say hello? He didn't say this. So they explain that 12 plus 12 is not 24 consecutive. When you're able to do something in a consecutive fashion, so it's obviously much more powerful. We're not getting into that. We live in a different generation, and we don't fully understand everything that was going on in that type. And again, Rabbi Akiva is on the level of like Moshe Rabbeinu. As we know, the Medrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu saw this person teaching Torah, which was phenomenal. Moshe didn't understand it. He went to the back row because he didn't understand anything. And then he finally heard Rabbi Akiva said, this is halacha Moshe Messina. And he turns to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he says, why are you giving the Torah through me? It should be through a neshama like Rabbi Akiva. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, be silent. This is how I want to do it. So Rabbi Akiva was this phenomenal, a chad bedora, this giant in his generation to transmit the entire Torah. And his 5 Talmidim are the entire Torah Shabbat that we have today. So we see over there by Rabbi Akiva, 12 years he went to learn, an additional 12 years. And the Gemara says he came back. The Gemara in Nedarim actually says he came back with 24,000 Talmidim. The Gemara in Yevamos tells us that he came with 12,000 pairs of Talmidim. These numbers just are striking. What's going on over here? What is the significance of the number 12? What's the significance of the number 24? And it appears in many different locations in the Torah, the importance of the number 12. So we have to understand what is this number, and maybe it'll help us unlock a little bit of what Rabbi Akiva was trying to bring to this world, and perhaps what Reb Shimon Bar Yochai added another level and another dimension, continuing on what his Rebbe had tried to do. And that's why we give a special significance, which is another question. Why do we give such a significance to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai? Why don't we give it to Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva is the Rebbe. He is the Gadol Ador that brought down. So we have to understand the number 12. We have to understand what Rabbi Akiva was trying to do. We have to understand what Reb Shimon Bar Yochai is trying to do. So the number 12 in Judaism is a number that appears a lot, obviously. And it's a number that represents completion. But it's not just completion like the number 10. The Maharal says number 10 is a number that is the complete unit. 12 represents a full cycle. Now we started something and we went all the way to the end and we're starting it again. Where do we have that? We have 12 months of the year. We have 12 mazalot that create and orchestrate the entire universe, and they are based off of the 12 months of the year. The complete number that is supposed to build the makeup of Am Yisrael, so we have the Shlosha Avot, but we also have the 12 Shvatim, the 12 tribes of Israel, which was always supposed to be 12 tribes. They are going to be the complete number that is going to build the entirety of Jewish people. So number 12 is the number that shows a complete cycle, we're ready to start this era. And that's why the word Shana, which is a year, which is the 12 months of the year, it has two meaning, the word Shana. It can mean lishnot, which means to repeat, and it also means leshanot, to change. It's shinui and shinun. It's learning and repeating what we've learned, but it's also to change. So what is it? Is it changing something, or is it completing things and just repeating it as things were? What's so special about the number 12? And again, when we're coming into Eretz Yisrael for the first time, how many meraglim, how many spies does Moshe Rabbeinu send? He sends 12 tribes. When we cross the Yam Suf, there are 12. They're 12 connected to 12 Shvatim. Also, how many hours are there in the day? Right? Did we ever think about it? Why is the day broken up into 12 hours of daytime and 12 hours of nighttime, and altogether it's 24 hours? Who said that it's 24 hours and that it's 60 seconds per minute and it's 60 minutes per hour, right? Who decided all these numbers are not stam? And in fact, when you go into the realm of Kabbalah and you have the letters of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, so you have 4 different letters, but because 2 of them are the same, they say that there are 12 different makeups of Hashem's name. Hashem's name, if you there are 12 different formations. And in fact, if you know in the Sidurim, in some of them on Rosh Chodesh, it tells you should have kavana from the Bnei Yissaschar. When you say Mechadish Chodashim, you should have kavana for this, and it quotes different psukim. Right? We don't pronounce the names, but it's names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, 12 different variations. So what's going on up here? So again, like we said, the number 12 represents a complete circle, a complete cycle. In fact, our tefillah that we do every day, what do we call our silent prayer? We call it Shmona Esrei. Why is it called Shmona Esrei? Because there are 18 blessings in it. There's 3 in the beginning, which are Shevach HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how Hashem is all powerful. He's Melech, Oizer, Moshiach, Magen, right? He has everything. He's Kadosh. Then we have 3 at the end, which are Hoda, which are saying thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But in the middle, in our requests for a successful life, how many blessings are there? There are 12 blessings in the beginning, in the middle. So you have 3 in the beginning, 3 at the end, that's 6, plus 12 in the middle, altogether is 18. That's Shmona Esrei. That's the Shmona Esrei as we know it. So this number 12 represents a full circle, a full year. But every year in Judaism represents a spiral going up. It's not just that we're going back to the same place. We are going back to the same place. We're going back to the same calendar. We're going to have Shavuos again, and we're going to have Rosh Hashanah again. We're going to have Yom Kippur again. We're going to have Pesach again. We have it again every single year. But no 2 years is it ever the same. Every single year, we go up a level. We're able to be Meshana and to be Shoneh, and to learn it again, Leshanen, and to do it again. So we're able to go back and experience life all over again, or the year all over again, but we are different. We grow in our spirituality. Rabbi Akiva, his life mission was to create this ultimate change in Am Yisrael. Gemara tells us that the world is supposed to exist for 6,000 years. The first 2,000 years are 2,000 years of what's called tohu vavod, complete wilderness. In fact, you know what year Avram Avinu was born? Avram Avinu was born from the year of creation of the world in 1948. Not 1948 from the Common Era, but 1948 from the creation of the world. And the Rambam tells us that he started learning and teaching Torah at which age? At the age of 52. That's the end of 2,000 years of Tohu Vavohu. And then starts 2,000 years, exactly 2,000 years of Torah, of the beginning of the learning and the transmission of Torah. Starts from Avram Avinu all the way until we actually got the Torah itself. Avram Avinu learned Kol HaTorah Kula, and Yitzchak, the Avos, they kept Kol HaTorah Kula. The Gemara uses those terms because these are the years already of Torah, where we have Am Yisrael, at the beginning of Am Yisrael, and the learning of the Torah. And then the last 2,000 years are years of Yemos HaMashiach, are years of the potential of Mashiach coming. Rabbi Akiva was on a life mission because he lived before the Churban Habayis. In fact, the Gemara tells us that Rabbi Akiva, very similar to Moshe Rabbeinu, how long did he live? He lived until he was the age of 120. The first 40 years of his life was Tohu Vavohu. He didn't learn anything. He was a shepherd. There is no content to his life. The next 40 years of his life was Torah. He started learning Aleph Beis. He started understanding Torah till he became the great Rabbi Akiva after learning 24 hours consecutively towards the end of those 24 years. And then the last 40 years of his life, because he also lived until 120, was what's called Yemos HaMashiach. He was trying to bring Mashiach. And the Rambam brings this down. We know this historically, that there was the great Bar Kokhba revolt and the Bar Kokhba caves and it wasn't just the Bar Kokhba revolt. The way it's brought down in the Gemara is that Rabbi Akiva and the majority of Chachmei Yisrael, they believed that Bar Kokhba was Melech HaMashiach. And not only that, he actually had the potential of becoming Melech HaMashiach. And that's why in the Gemara he's called Bar Kaziva, like Nachal Kaziv, who Mechzev. He let us down. The potential was there, but he let us down. He let us down because there wasn't enough kavod. Shelo nagu kavod zeh bazeh. He let us down because he himself didn't have respect for the Rabbanim. And in fact, Bar Kokhba killed one of the Rabbanim by mistake, out of anger, and then ended up being a whole. Some say that the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, in our Gemara, it's that they had a magefa, a pandemic that hit all of the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, 24,000 people. It's hard for us to fathom what that means, and they all died during this one period. Some say they were part of the people who died in Beitar. Beitar is one of the 5 tragedies that we mourn over that happened on Tisha B'Av. It was a tremendous massacre that the Romans killed the Jewish people, and they didn't let them come in, and they didn't let them bury them. Rabbi Akiva's Torah was on such a high level that he was able to reach the level of Torah of the first Luchos. He wanted to teach that to his Talmidim, and he wanted them to be able to bring the time period of Yemos HaMashiach. But they failed. They failed because Shelo nagu kavod zeh bazeh. The only way to succeed is if you're able to incorporate this number 12 of shleimus, of reaching that perfection and going over it again and again, only if you're able to have the nagu kavod zeh bazeh. Now, what represents nagu kavod zeh bazeh? When are we represented where we have the ability to be echad, keish echad, belev echad, when we're only together, right? That's the only way to really reach that higher level. And that's why I want to go back with you. And this is something that is fascinating. That was nischadish to me just this week. When you go back to those number 12s, this is the first time I'm saying a shir on this. So it's like I'm still figuring it out. When you go back to those number 12s, you see that the story doesn't end with number 12. In fact, in Judaism, we find that you need to have one more to reach that full completion, right? And this is where we already find it by Reb Shimon Bar Yochai more than by Rabbi Akiva. Because again, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai went into the caves for how many years? For 12 years. And then he had to go back for another 12 months, but together, how long was he in the cave for? For 13 years, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was in the cave. when you look back at the Shvatim, the tribes, were 12 tribes. What does Yaakov Avinu do with the 12 tribes? He takes Yosef and he says, Ephraim u'Menashe Keruven v'Shimon yuli. So how many tribes do we have now? We really have 13 tribes. Okay, Shevet Levi doesn't get a Nachala in Am Yisrael, but the Shevet Levi is still a Shevet. We divide the land into 12, but at the end of the day, we have 13 tribes because Yosef is really 2. It's Ephraim and Menashe. So we have the number 12, but it turns into number 13. When we have a year is 12 months. But the Jewish calendar, which months do we count? We don't have just the solar calendar. The solar calendar is very important for us. We know to calculate exactly when Shabbos will come in, when Shabbos will leave, what time Pesach will be, because Chodesh Aviv. But what months do we have? We have a lunar calendar. The lunar calendar also has 12 months. But because they're off by 11 days, what do we do every 2, maybe 3 years? We add Adar Sheni, which gives us 13 months of the year, and no longer 12 months. Even the 12 brachos of Shemona Esrei that we have for the cycle of life, at a certain point in the Gemara, they ask Shmuel HaKatan to add one more bracha, V'lamalshinim al tikva, which became the 13th bracha, actually, from the beginning. And we now have 19 brachos. We have 13 brachos in the middle, which are the requests of success in life, from Atachon L'Adam Das until Shma Kolenu. It's 13 brachos in the middle, and it's not 12 brachos. So we find that the number 12, in a certain way, gets magnified into the number 13. Now, the number 13 represents something very, very special. And the number 13, we know is already brought down by Rashi, that the gematria of echad, of 1, is 13. We have the aleph, which is 1, the ches, which is 8, and the dalet, which is 4. Together, it's echad. Hashem echad u'shmo echad. And Am Yisrael is mi ke'amcha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. The number 13 represents 1. And we know that this I actually heard from a taxi driver here in Eretz Yisrael, but I saw it brought down in different sfarim later on. I got into a taxi from the old city one time to come back here to the neighborhood. And the guy sees that I'm a yeshiva guy. She's like, no, yesh chama lagid, whatever. I told him a Dvar Torah. He said, oh, I like your Dvar Torah, so I'll tell you a Dvar Torah. This is a guy, I don't recall if he was wearing a kippah or not, or maybe just a hat. But this is a classic Israel story where you get into, and a cab driver has a good Dvar Torah for you. He said, Ta yodea, what is the gematria of ahava? So I quickly calculated. I'm like, oh, ahava is 13. See, he said, when there's ahava, so then you become echad. When there is echad is 13, and when there's love between Jews, so then you become 1. And he said, but not only that, if there's ahava on one side, and there's ahava on another side, and there's love between 2 Jews and between us, so then what appears? 13 and 13 is 26, and that's Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, that's Hashem's name. That's when Hashem appears, his glory in this world. It's specifically because we love one another, because we're connecting to one another. So he took the number 13. Now that I saw this, he took the number 13, and he said that is the ultimate shleimus of being 1. In order to reach that highest level, we really need the 12 represents the completion of living life in this world in a complete type of fashion. But we need to have it in a supreme type of way that we're able to connect between Am Yisrael, we're able to connect between the physical and the spiritual. We're able to, it all comes together. That is sort of represents our connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but it also comes out that the ages that we become chayiv in mitzvos, the ages that we become a part of Klal Yisrael, we become arevim zelazeh, that we have a relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that we're chayiv in mitzvos, are the ages of what? The ages for a woman is 12, and the ages for a man is 13. Again, it's those ages where we become 1 with Am Yisrael, and we become 1 with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I think these are the names. If you, I don't know if you count from the beginning of the Torah, Bereshis bara Elokim, you count letters. So the 12th letter is the Hey, is the Olam Hazeh, and the 13th letter of the name Elokim is Yud, which is Olam Haba. Now I'm already just going places, but I find that the number 12, which Rabbi Akiva has, is a number that represents he tried to reach a certain completion in this world to bring us to Yemos HaMashiach. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he said that in a certain way, he was saying we need to, and he's the one who only revealed to us a fraction of the Torah that Rabbi Akiva already had. But there is something about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that is bringing us to the number 13, which represents the Achdus within Am Yisrael. It's not enough to reach the highest levels of Torah learning, which was what Rabbi Akiva was teaching his Talmidim. But his Talmidim who were learning the Torah, they weren't understanding the importance of Nahagu Kavod Zeh Bazeh, and therefore it all perished. You need to reach the value of 13, which is the gematria of Echad, of being one people with this Torah of Rabbi Akiva, and that's how we're going to be Zocha to Yemos HaMashiach. And that's why the Gemara says, there's already the Gemara in Shabbos in Kuf Lamed Ches at the end of Shabbos, where the Gemara says, the Chacham say at the end of days, the Torah is going to be forgotten from Am Yisrael, because it says, Hine Yamim Baim, Neum Hashem, Lo Rav Lalechem, Velo Tzaman Amayim, Kim Lishmoa Dvar Hashem. There are going to be days where people are not going to be hungry for bread and water. They're going to have that. But you know what they're going to be hungry for? They're going to be hungry for the word of God, because you won't be able to find it anywhere. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai gets up and says, Chas v'chalila, ki lo tishakach mipizaro. It's written actually on the Tzion in Meron. The last letters of ki lo tishakach mipizaro is Yochai, is Bar Yochai, and he says, I'm going to make sure that the Torah will not be forgotten, because I'm going to reveal to them the Torah of the Ochlei Aman, the Torah of the Luchos Rishonim, the Torah of the secrets of the Torah. And that's really what he brought into this world. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai represents the revelation of certain aspects of the Torah that Rabbi Akiva was trying to teach, but he puts on an extra emphasis that we need to be tolerant of other people that are maybe not like us. And that's exactly what the process that they had to go through when they went into the Me'ara. They came out, they were on a high level, but it's not enough to be on a high level by yourself. It's not enough to have 24,000 Talmidim that are on a high level. You need to be able to communicate and to live one with the people who are running late and their hair is still wet from the shower when they're coming in on Erev Shabbos, and to see the beauty in them, that they're coming in with 2 Hadassim, one for Zachar, one for Shomer, that they're part of Am Yisrael. When you realize that you are a Echad, that we're all one nation, that's when we're Zocha to the full Geula. And that's really what the day of Lag BaOmer is all about. The day of Lag BaOmer seems to be a day that brings everyone together. You have Sephardim up there, you have Ashkenazim, you have Litvish, okay, maybe a little bit less Litvish, but you have Sephardim, Ashkenazim, and Hasidish, and secular, and from, and Mekubalim, and all walks of life are showing up in Meron and are uniting around the Torah of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. That was really Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's mission, to continue what Rabbi Akiva said. Yes, we're creating the highest level of connection, and that's really, we have in the Beis HaMikdash, it's broken up into 24 mishmarot, 24 different sections, families of Kohanim that dealt with the Beis HaMikdash. If you look at the piyut in Leil HaSeder, Vayehi b'chatzi halayla, in the middle of the night, when we hit the number 12, that's when all the tremendous miracles happen. So yes, it's that number 12, but it only happens when we reach Achdus, when there is unity amongst Am Yisrael. When we're able to live like that, so then we'll be Zocha to the revelation of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's Torah, and to seeing Yemos HaMashiach, because that's really where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai promises that he'll be there to stand up for Am Yisrael. And the fact that we're seeing more of the revelation of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, we're seeing more of the revelation of the Torah of Kabbalah and Hasidus appearing in our days. Don't tell Rabbi Wein that I said this, but we are seeing more and more Kabbalah and more Hasidus, and it's even dripping and trickling into the world of Misnagdim. That's part of Yemos HaMashiach. That's part of what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says. That's part of, my mother is from a Yekisha family, and my father is Yerushalmi and Lithuanian, but yet there's a connection to Meron. There's a connection to these types of Torahs, to the depth of the Torah, to try to inspire within us the understanding the Torah is so broad, is so wide. There's so many different clues and hints into it, and that allows us to have that deeper love and connection. Just like when you meet somebody, right? There's a shidduch date. You meet somebody, you get to know one another. Yeah, we're a good fit. But then you get married and you realize all the details and how amazing they are in so many different aspects and facets that you've never imagined and you never knew and you never understood. It just strengthens that relationship so much more. And that's really what the secrets of the Torah allow us to connect to Torah. Is like, yes, I know the halacha and I know the chumash and I know the parsha and I know the gemaras, but then there's like, whoa, there's numbers and there is hidden messages and there is things that come together. It gives us a certain like, wow. And that wow is what Reb Shimon Bar Yochai represents. He wants us to have that wow in Torah learning. That wow, oh my goodness, I didn't realize it was so wide. It was so deep, and it brings that it brings out in a certain way an emotion of connection to the halacha and to the parsha and to the gemara that we're learning in a way that it enhances it all together. It brings it all, turns it all into echad. And I think that's what tonight is all about. Tonight is an opportunity for us to get into that wow of Torah learning, to try to learn something that we've never learned before, to experience the breadth and the width of Torah and how amazing it is. And may we be zocha to see it. That's what Reb Shimon Bar Yochai is here to awaken within us. This year we don't have meduros, we don't have fires, we don't have any, but we each have it. We have the kindling fire within us, and that's really what it represents. Even though normally we don't have a day that a tzaddik is nifter is a day of mourning, a day of fasting. I know my father and the yortzeit for my grandfather, he fasts, he gives shiurim. But because of the Torah that Reb Shimon Bar Yochai revealed to the world, because of the promise that he's going to be, that Torah is going to protect us at the end, to reignite Jewish spirits all across the world, that's why we celebrate that day, because that's the day that not only it's represented by the end of the death of Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, that they finished, and rather we're coming to this point of echad, of uniting, of becoming one, and seeing that passion of Torah that will bring us to what we're all seeking to see. B'meher b'yameinu amen. So it was a real pleasure being with you, and may we be zoche to see good times and to celebrate with all of Am Yisrael. Okay, I'm going to take us off of mute. Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. A real pleasure.